What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 6 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Nakai the Wanderer Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, our skink army, or our first skink army I should say, is doing very, very nicely as Tyrannicon has faced off against foe after foe and beaten the odds every time. As skinks are getting nicely leveled and, well, just generally speaking, I expect great things for him. Plus possibly a fefew more modifications of his army, but generally speaking, pretty happy with it so far. We got our second skink army on the field, which is currently running around 8 peaks, and we'll probably want to replace these skink skirmishers with blessed skink skirmishers rather soon, / rather quickly, and we'll probably get right on that. Maybe even starting next turn. We do have a little bit of extra Old One's favor now that I think about it, so certainly something to think about. Anyway, we'll be looking to take Black Crag and just move through the Red Fang's territory to get to Queek and his Skaven, and possibly to Arbol if he is within reach, though fortunately, because Nakai has tunneling stance, or whatever it's called for the Lizardmen. Oh, it is called tunneling stance. We should be able to traverse all this territory rather quickly. Frankly, I think there is a misclick. I think there isn't actually anything to do this turn, so we can straight up end the turn and then go next turn and then, you know, do stuff as we like. Alright, the wild hunt begins. I really don't know why the game keeps telling us that, because it's not super relevant to us. We're nowhere near them. Anyway, defeat the following. Azabor Beluxus of the Poxmakers. Alright, well, Nurgle fell to the bonkin mauls of those red crusts, and I assume that these guys will fall as well. Wondering whether we should put a couple of Croxies in this army. And just to go along with the skinks, although this is a Sotek army, I don't know, I'll think about it. We can always replace a couple of these, but then, I mean, just a couple. I'll think about it. Anyway, mission issued. We are heading to the Tomb of Kaliamon, which is, basically undefended, meaning it's free real estate. Go here. Should be able to auto-resolve it, no problem. I'm curious to see where Queek went as well. Ooh, wait. Don't fight. Nobody fight. Temples of the Old Ones. We are going to grab, like I said at the start of last turn, our first blessed skirmishers, skink skirmishers, like so. Alrighty, they're reasonably cheap. We just gotta make sure that we maintain enough to keep Celestial Beneficence up and running for that cost reduction. What I wanted to do here was this. Ooh, wait, I was gonna say put it in this army, but then, what if it screws up our movement range? It's a distinct possibility. And Queek is nearby enough to attack by the looks of it, and we do want to wipe his army out. Maybe we do it after fighting him? It's risky. Sometimes when you get a regiment of renown, or when you recruit a unit like this, it kills your movement range. Alright, that's fine, we'll do that then. Wait. Oh, this is Regiments of Renown. I thought it was Blessed Spawnings. Yeah. So the reason I wanted to do it immediately was because we wanted to use those alignments and get the alignments back via fighting. But I'm not willing to risk losing out on Vermin Flail because it's such a good trait. And let's just go for Queek like this. Alright, thanks Crooked Moon for the free money. And we'll be wiping you out rather soon as well, I'm sure, but for now, Queek is the target. I'm not going to bother leveling because these guys are going to continue maintaining their points. And we also probably want to replace these two with Blessed Fireleech Bolas. It is part of our mechanic, after all. We have 2 ways, essentially, to acquire the blessed units. Anyway, these poor guys have, like, no anti-air at all. This is not gonna go so well for them, Pyrrhic Victory or not, and it doesn't look like they have a mage that can Howling Warp Gale us and deal with our flyers, either. Well, it sucks to be Queek, I guess. Before we get started, engagement threshold reached. Hour-long, hour-adjacent episode also reached, and engagement threshold remains. 400 likes, 50 comments, or is it 60 comments? It gets 60 comments. And the next episode will be an hour-adjacent episode as well. Go. All right, here we go. Queek's little army is pretty doomed. A nice line of bombs coming down from our Pterodon riders, and we did deploy our skink skirmishers close enough to the enemy to actually get attacked. Now, the simple reason is that, and gotta give the AI a sporting chance to some degree. Of course, we could have just destroyed them all from the air, and they'll take heavy damage from aerial attacks anyway. So, might as well let the skinks do some stuff, and it looks like the skinks deployed close. The enemy does give a charge us with some of those wolf rats, but of course we move to meet it with our skink chief riding that ancient stegodon, which is looking fantastic, by the way. I love that. I love all that armor on him. While the rest of the rats are going to have a much more difficult time moving towards us, especially Queek, who's getting focused down by many a blow dart and many a javelin from those Pterodon riders trying to find safety in the ranks of his clan rats, but unfortunately being unable to do so, and then going down, and not in a good way. Otherwise, we're going to switch targets to the Packmaster first, and then to Ska Bloodtail afterwards, though it looks like the poor little Packmaster is pretty much done, and frankly, Queek's army is pretty much destroyed as well. Alright, get a few more volleys into those running clan rats, clan rat spears in particular. We do have another unit that is still functional, although I'd wager not for too much longer. And just too many blow darts. And while the Skaven are quick, they're not going to be quick enough to catch the skirmisher skinks. And I like that this army functions completely and utterly differently from our other skink army, since that's the melee one and this is the skirmisher ranged one. And a skirmisher army. I wouldn't quite call it exactly a ranged army. It does fight at range, but it doesn't function like a normal ranged army. Would. Run and gun, skirmish army, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, with that, the enemy army is broken and done. Only Ska Bloodtail remains on field, and similar to the problems that Queek had, he's trying to move towards us. 22 move speed, having been slowed down by that poison. And there's no way that he catches anybody. I do feel somewhat bad about this, but this is what the skirmisher army is designed to do, and this is the way that it is going to fight battles. It's going to be a lot more difficult to do this against full stacks with full HP and then heavily armored units, and we'll see how well it does when we got those units on field. Anyway, I'm gonna chase the enemy down, but we should be able to destroy most, if not all of them. Alrighty, yeah, we got a level 11 alignments out of that, which is why I wanted to summon the unit, but once again, better not have risked it. Anyway, an easy little fight for these guys, hardly surprising, as it's mostly Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats, though admittedly the Clan Rats powered up by Clan Moors. This was a pretty perfect army for these guys to cut their teeth on, as it were. Anyway, we're gonna take the money, because we basically took no damage, and, well, we're gonna need a lot of money over the course of the next few episodes to get more armies up and running. And okay, that army was destroyed, so we're going to encamp here, and we'll see whether Skarsnik gets annoyed and attacks us immediately. That's what we wanted. Vermin Flail. Upkeep reduction minus 5%, and certainly an excuse to try to get it on various, Divining Rod, not bad, various lords in order to get that lovely buff. Now, you guys are going to merge. We're going to delete one unit, like so now, and then we're going to get the first blessed spawning, which is the Blessed Skink Skirmishers, like so, and we're going to use their alignments. If I recall correctly from last time I played, Biggins, yeah, well, this is the one we want, because it's not just the fact that it adds bleed, which is great in and of itself, making the skink skirmishers actually great and not, terrible. But it also gives them stock, making them sort of on par with chameleon skinks in that regard. Without stock, they're obviously a lot more of a liability. Don't get me wrong, the Blessed Spawning of Sotek with the lethal poison is great as well, though unless I'm mistaken, the regiments of Renown of Fireleech Bolas are also able to get the Blessed Spawning of Sotek. I could be wrong with the lethal poison. I remember thinking some of the upgrades for the Blessed Fireleech Bolas were insane, but anyway, for now we gotta do the Blessed Chameleon Skink, so Blessed Spawning of Huan Chi, like so. And now you can cause bleed. We don't see it here, but it'll activate. It's an augment, so it'll activate once we're on the battlefield. And then we'll get more as we go. Anyway, that's why I wanted to stop this fight. I wonder if taking settlements gives us alignments. Let's find out. Like so, and we'll go with, I guess, Eatsil again. And actually, that did not give us alignments. Huh, go figure. Okay, well, that's annoying, but it is what it is. You can march stance, I guess, and then start moving southward towards Blood Spike, and then generally towards the, towards Rusty Dagger's Hold. As to whether you can take it, well, that remains to be seen. Depends on how many things these guys recruit. They already have more than a half stack. Nakai, it is your turn, sir. I guess to get the alignments back, we're going to need to actually fight an army. There is something of an army here. And yeah, there's some good stuff in Black Crag, so here's what we can do. Pyrrhic victory casualties high. Damn, okay, so that means they won't sally out against Nakai, meaning we're probably able to just attack them directly unless... Black Crag is a special settlement, meaning it's got that health increase, meaning the... meaning the cinematic battle won't work. Okay, option 2. Option 2 for me and you. Nakai break siege. Cytochrome. Let's see if they're willing to sally out against you. Otherwise, we're gonna have to play it manually because, yeah, it won't work as a cinematic. Yeah, Valiant feat casualties high. I like that a little bit more. And, yeah, certainly these guys will have to work for it a lot more. Nice. You can keep going through Ancient Cunning, even though it doesn't help here. Also gotta remember that we don't have any buffs directly for this army, which will make it all the tougher. And Nakai, I guess you're gonna leave this one to Cytochrome, so let's just hope he survives. Move onward towards Uzkul Mines. Well, I guess if they don't sally out, that'll be annoying for Cytochrome, but it is what it is. I mean, I guess I could have tested it with Nakai, but at the same time, you know, Cytochrome better be, you know, starting to do stuff. Harmonic Convergence, we want to probably try to get towards Chain Lightning for this particular battle, so let's get Curse of the Midnight Wind, and... How much mana do you have? 100. Enough to cast some stuff. Will Wind Blast be helpful here? The Snotling Pump Wagons, not against them. The Gobos, yeah, there's a decent amount of Gobos and Orcs, but the Orcs might need... the Uranons instead. You know what, I'm gonna go for Uranons, because the Black Orcs are gonna be a lot, and the Biggins are gonna be a lot more threatening, and then we'll go for 2 points in Chain Lightning, as that's the thing. And we're probably going to rely on there. And we don't really have a main line of melee, so it's not going to be really all that easy to force the enemy around our units in such a way where they get bogged down for a common of Cassandora. Anyway, the rest of that looks good to me, so let's end the turn. Let's hope that they sally out, but just in case they don't, let's build some siege equipment. And a 1 and a 2. And I believe that's all. No rights, no buildings, and I guess we have to figure out how we want to head on forth towards Queek, but for now, let's end the turn. Alrighty, lovely to see. They will indeed sally out, and we are going to have to work for this, especially due to the Black Orcs and Biggins, but hopefully we can pull it off, especially without buffs to our units. But I suppose we're fighting an enemy army that's largely unbuffed as well, since it's the enemy garrison, so it's unbuffed units versus unbuffed units, and by buff I mean the red line traits. Let's see those solar engines in action. Alrighty, looks like our ancient Kroxagor is silent in this particular battle, but that's alright. He'll let his Bonkin do the talking and that big old blade thing, blade helmet, whatever, on his snout. Anyway, we should have a pretty tough fight here, and I'm excited to see how well or not it goes for us. The Black Orcs are going to be a big issue. The Boar Boy Biggins are going to be a big issue as well. And we'll see how well our stegs with solar engines do for their debut. There we go, firing those first shots off, just at whatever unit they can reach for now, as the enemy is not close enough, and by the looks of it, stripping away about 20% HP from one of the enemy units of big guns. Not as critical as firing upon the enemy black orcs, however, and so we will turn to fire on said black orcs instead. Like so. Alright, it doesn't, the shot doesn't seem to penetrate super deep into their formation by the looks of it, at least not as deep as cannon fire would, but that's alright. We do have magical artillery. We did apply the points in order to get chain lightning, and damn well are we going to use it while the enemy is on the approach. A little lightning and a little fire from the beams of Chotek there. See how damaged those black orcs get before they reach us. Over on the left flank, we have the beginnings of the fight, however, as the boar boys are looking to get around us and move towards our formation, but that's all right. We have feral cold ones and our unit of cold one riders here to meet them. And on top of that, we have split away one unit of Croxagors, Croc and Roll, to move towards those orc boar boys and help out a little bit. And I imagine that the enemy will split off some of their units as well. Our solar engines continue firing at whatever they can, and it looks like the main enemy army is nearly here. Ooh, that was a nice shot. Looks like take up about 10% of the HP off the enemy lord as well. And of course, these things don't have any buffs on them yet. They don't have any veterancy on them yet, so they're going to get stronger. Anyway, boar boys facing off against some cold one riders. Should make sure to evolve these guys into cold one spear riders. And probably eventually horned ones as well. But for now, we're looking pretty okay. Balance of power is in the enemy's favor, of course, and their main army is only just arriving and starting to engage us, but, well, we're seeing them off pretty well so far. It does look like we do have to send one of our units of Cold One Riders into the melee, and we're going to use that protection of Quetzal on them. The Unbreakable and Invulnerable is going to allow them to fight in the melee without taking heavy damage from all the Black Orcs and Biggins, whether Boar Boy or regular. There is an enemy artillery piece which has been firing away at us this entire time, the Goblin Rock Lobbers, and unfortunately they're not doing anything too crazy as yet. And as soon as we have a couple of free units, or at least one free unit of Feral Cold Ones, we'll send them that way. I do like how these solar engines glow, so even in the dark maps, they are points of visible light. Chotek lighting up the darkness in a way. Ooh, and it does look like the AI will activate its WA, so those Black Orcs are about to be a lot heavier damage dealing. And gonna try to counteract that a little bit by damaging them back with a nice Ruinous Thunderbolt right in the middle, which will also light up the darkness a bit. Ooh, I love the shots of, there we go. That's pretty cool, with the lightning giving us a vision of the Croxagors in the middle of a fight. And here comes a big old bonker, and a Black Orc loses his head, and just generally speaking, explodes, and not in a good way. Alright, how's that balance power looking now? Has switched to our favor. It looks like the enemy or the sort of center of their line has failed to find purchase, and they have also failed to get around us. Most of the enemy cavalry at this point has been destroyed, with the exception of that one unit of Goblin Wolf Riders, but we don't really care about them. The Wolf Rider Archers, as they don't do sufficient damage for us to worry about too much. We have the Raptor Rumble, who have finally managed to peel away and are obliterating that enemy Goblobber, the Rock Lobber, there we go. I love the way that the animations of the the Feral Cold Ones send units flying, especially the smaller units like the rats and the gobos. Alright, and it looks like the enemy has had a very bad day. I believe our Croxagor Ancient has defeated the enemy Lord and is in the process of spinning to win and thereby defeat the enemy Black Orc Big Boss as well. You gotta love these guys' animations, and 23 HP, nearly killed him up, but it's alright. One more bonk, and how did he just die there? Maybe he had some kind of damage over time on him, I'm not sure. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter over much, because as with the enemy Lord is dead, the enemy Black Orc Big Boss is dead, and thereafter the enemy army shatters, and the battle is ours. Very nice. I honestly thought that would be a lot more dicey than it turned out to be, as we didn't take a crazy amount of damage on anybody. Some of the Kroxigors lost about 40% of their HP, but they didn't lose any units, which is the important thing, because, yeah, these guys are at nearly 50%, but 16 out of 16, which means they'll heal to full post-battle anyway. And that's why you gotta love monstrous infantry. Really helpful when we can do that. Anyway, we are going to chase the enemy down since this is a garrison that has sallied out, and we'll want to make sure that we destroy them with a quick little auto-resolve next turn. Hey, we got a Sun Standard of Chotek out of that one. A very nice pickup. That bolstered armor and missile resistance. I don't remember if that's the same one that we have in Nakai's army currently. I think it is, and if it is, it's nice to have them in various places. In addition to that, that maxes out our alignments back up and more or less destroys the garrison, at the very least very close to it. Pretty happy with that performance. This isn't the sort of final form of this army, as in it's not what it's going to look like, as it's going to split off in two, but it does work fairly well. And of course, while we will do an all-Cav army, we'll also do an army or two where, you know, Cav is working together with non-Cav, sort of generalist stuff. And frankly, the Kroxigor Ancients would probably be pretty decent generalist lords, as long as you have a few Kroxigors there as well. 900 money or full HP. We'll be able to heal after taking this out, I think, so it shouldn't really matter. So I think we'll just release those captives, as in take the money. Not that I think the Lizardmen would ever release captives, generally speaking, but anyway. Alright, there we go, Supervisor for Tyrannicon. There's that Sun Standard of Chotek, rather. Oh, Winds of Pain, thank you. That was helpful, because we were and are still losing quite a bit of the, quite a bit of mana in a few places. Brayherds come, the Blooded Axe tribe have returned. I wonder if they've returned somewhere around here. It's not showing us. Oh, no, they return right beside us. Okay, you know what? That kind of answers the question. It does seem that the beastmen do indeed show right back up to, you know, sort of prioritize the player, or show right back up near the player. And, it's another greenskin faction, Moonhowlers. I thought that, Arbol would be here. I guess he's down in the Vaults of Plenty. That's where his capital is, but he doesn't appear to be doing that well. Oh, wait, there's a little bit more corn corruption out here, but yeah, we'll definitely stop on by and pay him a nice visit. I guess you can turn around and go back toward Kvin Weir rather than declaring war on Skarsnik, who you can't really reach anyway. May as well take this before turning upon the enemies at 8 peaks. We could make an Lizardmen 8 peaks if we want to turn upon the Clan Angren dwarfs as well. Something to think about. Also, if we're going to fight again, we may as well get the alignments going again, so let's do this. Okay, first of all, we only have one turn of Celestial Beneficence remaining, so we'll go Celestial Beneficence once again. And then we'll do one more Blessed Skink Skirmisher, just because I don't want to waste the alignments now, since, you know, we got to be putting those alignments somewhere. So, Blessed Skink Skirmishers. And this army needs the Blessed units more than any other army, because it's our weakest army, so. Out to you, it doesn't really matter which, well, actually, you have a little bit more XP than the rest. Not that that matters, since all of you are going to get replaced, but anyway. I'll do that, and then we will Blessed Skink Skirmishers. Lovely. And then you will become, oh wait, you will be upgraded, like so. Again with the, what? Oh, I selected the wrong one. Again with the Blessed Spawning of Huan Chi. Lovely. Happy with that, and what level are you? You're level 10. Okay, so you're gonna be a while before you get to where you need to go, but we'll get there. Anyway, let's get those alignments back, shall we? So, we are going to declare war on and kill this Beastman tribe off. Probably should just auto-resolve it, since it's probably gonna be a little tiny battle. They don't have much of anything interesting. It's mostly Ungors, and let's face it, Nakai's army versus Ungors is just no chance for the enemy army. And a 1 and a 2. Unfortunately, that means Nakai won't be able to re-choose cool mines, but it is what it is. Alrighty, and take the money. Oh, lovely. Faction destroyed just as soon as they come up. And I guess maybe then we don't go to School Mines first. We just go past it towards Broken Axe Peak and then have Cytochrome go here. I think that makes sense to me. Alright, and you take Black Crag with a quick little auto-resolve. I guess we can pop this on, I don't know, the Central Healing Basti with Reeve of Crystal. Then we'll need another one. Alrighty, and we will give this, I guess, to Itzel as well. Alright, Tormentor Sword, nice. That'll be a very nice pickup for our little skink army, and then you can also auto-resolve these guys. Ooh, wait. Ah, screw it, just do it. I was gonna say we could do the alignments thing again, but maybe we want to maintain a, you know, sort of decent bit of Old One's favor, just in case. I want to say Old One's flavor. Delicious. That's what the demons think anyway. Anyway, let's see. In camp, let's go here. We won't be at full HP, but Uzkul Mines is... well, it is kind of defended. Also, we'll probably want to upgrade the operational ziggurat here as well. Get everything to tier 2, we can get additional capacities, especially the special Basties, because you will need another healing crystal and probably another Basti with solar engine. Maybe we could just do the one. Once again, the problem with only having one Basti with Reeve of Crystal is that when you have one, it doesn't heal itself, so it'll be the thing that gets wrecked, and that's not great. I guess you can go up to tier 2. Just slowly upgrade them all to tier 3 in order to get the upkeep reduction. Also, for Tyrannicon, you can move again, can't you? You can actually go to tier 3 if you wanted to, but 8k, it's pretty steep, and we will want to start recruiting again, eventually. I'll think about it. Nah, let's just do it. It'll pay for itself, that's the thing. Yes, it's expensive, but it'll pay for itself. And just by virtue of the upkeep reduction, and I guess the additional upkeep reduction for all Slan and various upgrades for Slan in general will be nice. Oh, and every single tier 3 one of these is campaign movement range for armies faction-wide, meaning we will eventually max out as long as we have sufficient armies, so that's fine. What does this do again? Recruitment costs? Okay, you will probably never need that. You're gonna want the altars instead for all of the hero capacities, and though those things are expensive, it ain't bad. It also increases hero recruit ranks faction-wide, so frankly, it seems the minor pyramids are actually in some ways more important, at least in the early game, than Nakai's pyramid. But either way, let's get you renowned and feared, even more upkeep reduction, down to 2,900, and then next turn, once we get the Sanctuary of the Old Ones, it'll be even cheaper. Granted, this wasn't one of our expensive armies, but, well, you know. Still a few expensive things in here. What we really need is to get more of these beast drivers, or whatever these are called. Prize hunters. Upkeep reduction for basically all dino units. Participated in an ambush battle. Alright, let's try to get a few more ambush battles under our belts just to get that going. Because it is another 5% upkeep reduction for our most expensive units, or largely our most expensive units. Anyway, magical reserves and earthing for you, sir. And then you are rank 11. You're still moving through the... should we actually stop and grab you Master Scout? You know, let's get you Master Scout. We'll keep going through these skink buffs and stuff afterwards. Alright, and that looks good to me. Nakai, you could level, but at the same time you probably need the levels the least. So skip, and I guess end the turn? Sounds like an end turn to me. I guess we could build one of these, but a little bit on the expensive side right now. And we're not recruiting right now anyway, because we need to, you know, build a few things up. Alrighty, there we go. Let's see. Before we do anything, I guess this army sort of debuted, such as it is, so let's get a few more names in there. We have Raptor Tide and Raptor Rumble. Feral Cold ones, you're going to be Feral Cooler ones. Like so, and I guess the Solar Engines debuted, and it looks like the Central one did a little bit more in the sense that it has a little bit more veterancy, so we'll name you. Radiance of Chotek. It does work for a Chotek army in particular, and what we could do is, I guess, let's see, Scales of War, let's name one of these, Sacred Croxies, the Storm Claws, like so. Let's name another one. And how about Croc Bulls, like so. Let's name them all. Ghostbusters, for you, sir. And we got 2 unnamed Croxagors. Ooh, I guess the thing is, I don't know whether we're keeping these ones. Well, Starborn Hammers. You know what? We'll hold off, because We'll probably keep them, but in another army. Well, maybe, well, some of them will be in Nakai's army. I want 2 of each types of Krogsagor. These will be replaced by Blessed Krogsagors, which we will need to summon, and in fact, maybe we want to summon another Skink Skirmisher, because we'll get more alignments up and running. And, ooh, the Rat armies are out there, and this is a more decent one than the one that we were working with before. Let's first... Alright, just get rid of this little regular Skink Skirmisher, and then keep using those favors of the old ones to get the, not the Skink Chiefs of Distinction, but the cheap Blessed Skink Skirmishers. And though they're the cheapest of the Blessed units, they are actually very, very nice once they have that bleed up and running, so yeah. I expect them to start out damaging the Chameleon Skinks by a fairly considerable amount, in fact. Let's upgrade you, Blessing of Huan Chi like so. And then we'll take this territory. Pirika, oh, right. Okay, so the problem with this army is going to be the auto-resolve is going to hate it. I might modify it slightly. Maybe put a couple of dinos in here. Skirmishing dinos. Maybe a couple of oracles would solve this problem. I'll think about it. I hate armies that can't auto-resolve because the game is obnoxious about it. Oh, wow, you can go all the way here to Skullchasm at sort of the edge of your movement range. But it would mean declaring war on these guys immediately. And it would also mean getting further and further away from Cytochrome, which isn't necessarily the best thing. Anyways, Cytochrome here, let's do this. And both of you together at once. Slash a giggle. And this one, oh wow, they actually do have some units there, but the AI should recognize that they have no chance. We'll fight this one again, might as well. Cytochrome's been doing a good job. And it sounds like his army has had a lot of screen time. In fact, that was the only screen time that it's had so far. I'll resolve this. And give it to... Do we want to max out... This will give us 4 melee defense for everybody everywhere. Yeah, sure, let's max out Eatzel then. Scroll of Blast. Ooh, yes, good, because I believe we had another thing that we can turn into something useful, unless I'm mistaken. Gotta remember to give that Tormentor Sword up. Actually, no, we don't. Wait. Relic Sword, we keep the Warrior Bands. Okay, let's lose the Wyvern, Bone, Bow, and the Relic Sword. I don't particularly like these. Obsidian Lodestone. Also not crazy useful, but at least our casters will, you know, take less damage from miscast. Anyway. Yeah, Nakai, you're going down this way. We still have to get to Corn. See how undefeated our ball is after dealing with you. Alright, and you're gonna fight, and we might as well get you a few points. So you're still going through Ancient Cunning, which, if we want more of those prize hunters, we'll definitely want to make use of. But Geomantic Sustenance is the way to go first. Here, I guess you're gonna get... Actually, Horde Growth really doesn't matter to you. Frankly, none of these really matters to you. Yeah, you're probably gonna... Yeah, look at the Horde Growth. These guys don't really need it. Let's go for... This doesn't max out to, like, faction-wide, does it? It does not. Let's just go Fervent for the Corruption Reduction. It's just 1 point, who cares? Also, I'm going to forget, so... Oh, this is definitely going to be a fight. Hey, we got a full stack, and oh, we're actually going to have to besiege it, aren't we? Because it's a walled settlement. Alright, fair enough. You're going to besiege it then, sir. Are we able to borrow one of these guys again? We are not, at least not yet. We should double check whether they have any missions for us, and ooh, we got more Tomb Kings running around. That I like. Any missions for us? Ally missions? Kill King Imtef. Yes, we will. That we will, and... Damn, that's actually a lot of Beasts of Nurgle. That's a concerning amount of Beasts of Nurgle for the Skink army. Well, you're just gonna have to deal with it, little guys. Not much choice in the matter. Now, you probably want to get Beast Driver for the Arcs of Sotek in here. Now, let's keep doing that. I want to try to get that rank 7 buff for all of the Skinks in this army, and they're definitely gonna sally out and attack you. Otherwise, we got... Special Beneficence is decent. We're still working on that next army capacity to get our Fire Slan up and running and, you know, start leveling him as we traverse the territories with Nakai. But for now, let's do the fight, or fights. This will happen after we end the turn. This has... Okay, let's do this manual one real quick, because the game is being silly about this. I mean, the game should especially recognize that they have 2 archer units, and we have 8 flying Pterodon riders, including 4 Fireleech Bolas, who, just alone, the 4 Fireleech Bolas alone could take out this enemy army. Let's be real here. without even the need for the rest of our units. So, yeah, let's start deployment. Let's move all of these guys forward. Just gonna move you like... Yeah, let's do this. Move you like so. We're just gonna move them directly forward towards the archers. And, you know what, let's keep the skinks back just to... Can they kite here? Oh, this army isn't particularly prone to making it easy to kite stuff. Alright, you know what, let's... If we need to support, we'll approach from this direction. Like so. Alright, and then you guys can go over here as well. Hey, come on. What the heck? Why can't you deploy? Oh, you don't have Vanguard deployment. Who doesn't have Vanguard? Okay, you do. But, you guys don't. Alright, fair enough. You guys go here. And the dino can't hide in the forest. Huh. Go figure. Alright, it's a big boy, I guess. Yeah, fine. You go out here. Alright, then we'll do group 1. We'll do group 2. And we'll do group 3. And then we'll do, I don't know, all of you guys. Just go over here. And we'll do all of you guys group 4. Alright, good enough. Alright, group 1 and 2, forward. Group 3, go here. Group 4 out here. Alright, we do have the Beasts of Ezel summoning now. And... drop bombs. Doesn't really matter how. And then turn back around. Fire Leech Bolas. Go here and then go here. Save your bombs for the other enemies and then just kill off all of these archers. Shouldn't be a problem. You guys move forward. Let's summon those Beasts of Ezel right there. They're summoned units, so we don't care what happens about them, but we do care about them getting in the way. You Pterodon Riders with the, the regular Pterodon Riders can all... Let's move you all like this, doesn't really matter. I like to speed it up in a few seconds, just want to make sure that we get these spells and the damage out. Alright, everything else is looking good. We really need to destroy those... Where are we here? Those units. Alright, Fire Leech Bolas have done their work. Let's leave 2 to attack the remaining units. Let's have you guys... Oh, you guys already dropped your bombs. Alright, then let's have these guys drop more bombs. Alright, keep snapping the enemy lord. And you guys get ready to move and drop a few bombs their way. There we go. Just chase down the enemy range units. And you know what? You guys can move to chase down the enemy range units. And you guys can turn around. It's taking them a long time to work through one Razordon pack. Unfortunate for them, I guess. And the enemy lord has been killed. We do not need to do anything else, I wager. In fact, let's charge the Razordons in and speed it up to max. Alright. Should be done in a few seconds. And there we go. Alright, easy. I once again, the auto-resolve being very, very silly today. Not that the auto-resolve isn't always pretty darn silly. Good. Alright, and that'll get to tier 4 for Ezel, unless I'm mistaken. I assume, judging by the garrison, this wasn't a capital settlement, so yeah, oh, it'll be +1. Were we missing +2 or +1? I guess we're about to find out. Alright, and I'll do some of the hero naming... You know, maybe I'll do some of the hero naming between the episodes and then come back to it later on, just because it'll take a while to figure out who needs which name in the sense of, like, who has recovery, who has whatever... as in the traits, just to be able to differentiate them, since that's the system we're going to be trying this time around. Alright, good. And Armor of Fortune, not bad. But you can... I don't know if you can keep it, but one of the... Ah, we did need +2, oh well. I don't know if you specifically can keep it, but somebody will be able to keep it. Alrighty, and then you still have actually plenty of movement range, just not tunneling stance, because you ended right at the edge of this territory. We could move next towards Karagmonar and then besiege it. Karagril is their capital and poorly defended, and we'd be able to destroy it. The Karagloon we probably wouldn't be able to defeat just because of the... well... Actually, they have no anti-air, really, other than the Goblin Rock Lobbers either, and I'm willing to bet that they would sally out. The main issue is Skarsnik has full HP, and he was a full army and a Wa, and he was running around last time we saw. Well, either way, I think we'll still head out this way. You know what, this area has a plague. Let's avoid it. Let's try to move towards Karagril with this army. And we have 100 alignments again, so we should, in theory... I guess before we do anything else. Alright, fine. Then get one more of these guys. Why not? Delete. And then at least we won't have to worry about that for a while. If I could just busking skirmishers, yes. Lovely. I'm excited to see how they'll perform in an actual battle. Like so. And obviously Blessing of Quan Chi. Yeah. I always click the unit upgrades rather than the scrap upgrades. Blessing of Quan Chi. There we go. And well, yeah, I'll still want a couple of Pterodon Riders. Blessed Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bolas as well. We're not going to do 4, we're going to do 2 and 2. The only exception here is the Blessed Skink Skirmishers. Oh, we also have Blessed Chameleon Skinks, don't we? We do. I guess we could do 2 and 2. Maybe we'll do 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, depending on which one of these, you know, earn their right to be blessed units. Hopefully after they all have names, and then we'll see which one of them gets to evolve, though obviously they're expensive. Ooh, wait, before I forget... Actually, no. And these guys the Nurglites are going to sally out, so we don't need to worry about them right now. But we do need to worry about this little fight. Well, maybe not worry, but we need to fight this little fight, so fight the little fight we shall fight. Huh, Kroxigor Ancient seems to be silent again. Do Kroxigor Ancients speak or ever make noise? I wonder. Anyway, and either way, here we go. It is a minor settlement battle, so despite being a smaller fight, it should still keep it relatively interesting. Love seeing those solar engines fire away and dish a bit of damage to the enemy lord, although I'm sure our Kroxigor Ancient will be able to hunt him down. We also now have the ability to summon Razordons on field, and the bleed application and decent damage that they do should be quite helpful. Plus, they do look very nice with the Kroxigors as well. Alrighty, so we're obviously starting the battle off a little bit of damage at range via our range units. Whether it be the javelins of the Skink Chiefs, the solar engines, or the newly summoned unit of Razordons, the Razordon Hunting Pack, who, let's just see here, got 67 kills and 14k damage, damn. The enemy is blobbed up in a way that is not lending itself well to their survival, so the Razordons are getting lots of work done. Anyway, here come the Kroxigors. They're gonna move on in. Don't want to destroy the enemy at range, and they seem to be too scared to actually sally out closer to us. We do switch the solar engines to firing upon the enemy tower, though they do bring it down rather quickly, and to be perfectly frank, we're probably now better off moving them to actually fight in melee. The enemy lord getting a few javelins, trying to focus him down, bring him down to half HP, but I think they're unlikely to actually kill him, and so we're just going to send our Kroxigor Ancient to hunt him down instead. And here it comes, waiting to... There we go, that's the spin we love to see, and that's probably a hard hit to the enemy lord. Or was it a whiff? I guess it doesn't really matter, because the enemy lord is stuck in the middle of this formation. And the Savage Orc Shaman probably doesn't want to be fighting a Kroxigor Ancient. There we go, and I think he's dead. Oh, fantastic. It may not be Nakai fighting here, but, well, it's the Kroxigors that started with the Nakai anyway, and I guess our first ancient Kroxigor lord. And it's working out pretty darn nicely. Alright, so those units are destroyed, and we are going to give chase to some of the units that have routed, but we'll do that with our Feral Cold Ones and our Cold One Riders, especially considering they're already damaged, so we don't want them running around in the sort of streets of the enemy settlement. And we'll have our dinos and our Kroxies, and to some degree our skinks, take care of all this. And yeah, once again, keep in mind this army is definitely going to change. It's not going to it's not going to look like this. It's just that it's currently using units from 2 separate armies that need to get separated once we can afford to do so. But yeah, it's pretty clear that Nakai's faction will want geomantic sustenance and upkeep reduction on pretty much every single lord. Gonna be pretty critical, I'd wager. Anyway, looks like an enemy barricade is going to block us up. I'm just gonna speed this up while we break our way through it rather quickly. And it looks like we've destroyed about half of the enemy army already. Poor little units of Orc Arrow Boys will attempt to run away, and we'll simply turn away from them and into the Orc Boys, who, foolishly, are expecting enemies to come from this direction. Not sure why the AI decided that that was so critical. I guess it just wanted to block these choke points. But this is a Cho Tech point now. I'll see myself out. Anyway, looks like our solar engines have arrived, and the orc boys are going to get obliterated rather quickly. And that was before the Kroxigors moved on in as well, and it looks like they're already terrified. Yeah, makes sense. And I'm trying to book it on out of there. We're going to speed this up again, and oh, they turned back, but not for long. Skinks are going to move in and get a few javelin volleys into these orc boys, though the shields aren't going to do too much. Though with shields, they're not going to do too much, I mean. Get a little bit of damage, though. And if the enemy charges us, we have our other units ready to move on in. Now, definitely going to get a lot of mileage out of these Razor Dawn summon abilities. They will be pretty darn nice for various armies, and we can combine them with various armies that don't have Razor Dawns and might not have Razor Dawns to fire into the backs of units and stuff. Should be pretty darn solid. Lots of factions in SFO have some kind of summoning ability via various means to get a couple more units on field. Anyway, time to move. And of course our lord here will lead. And the other Kroxigors and the Stags will follow. Admittedly, not getting too much mileage out of the solar engine, well, beams, the beams of Chotek in this particular battle. But that was never going to be the case, what with it being a minor settlement with the narrow streets, after all. Anyway, looks like the enemy units are firing upon us. The Orc Arrow boys, we gotta be careful about them focusing down our Reviv Crystal, as they've already done that in the past, and I do expect that they might do it again. AI does like targeting the support units. Anyway, enemy's gonna try to blob up all around us now. Not gonna need to drop any more spells on them. I think we should just be able to clear them out relatively easily. It's still a decent amount of orcs, but you know, they don't really stand much of a chance here, especially with the Reviv Crystal available now in this army, and keeping everybody nice and healed up. Alright, how we doing here? Bounce power's at about 90%. Our Cav are getting ready to charge in if they need to, but frankly, they might not even need to. And yeah, they've switched our firing to the Reviv Crystal. And good for them, I suppose. We'll give them a Curse of the Midnight Wind. And that means all of these units have effectively no attack and no defense, or at the very least minimal amounts. And I do believe the battle is pretty much ours. Probably it's time to start moving the raptors that are up above down to catch those enemies below and chase down the runners. Aeronon's Thunderbolt comes in, the raptors get ready to move, and hey, don't turn. Come on now. I think they're not actually turning. It's doing that thing that the devs introduced, and it's been a while now, that makes units for some bizarre reason constantly try to go into column formation. I don't know what the heck that was, because I don't think that existed in Warhammer 2, and I don't know, it's bizarre. I don't know why units would default to column formation when it's like the most dangerous position or formation to move in. Not that it matters much, just gotta keep an eye on your units a little bit. Anyway, Boar Boys are running away from the Cold One Riders, and I do believe with that the enemy army is done for. They're all going to shatter, and the battle's ours. Good job. Alright, there we go, very nice. 12 instead of 13 alignments, but it still works out to nearly max those out again. Easy little fight. The enemy looked like it didn't really know what to do there, though it was once again focusing down the Basti with the Reviv Crystal with its range where it could, and certainly once again gotta keep an eye on those or get a second one on field. Gift for Eitzel. Puts it to the 4th node, and then we are 1 node off. Administrator for Cytochrome. Actually, if Nakai... Ooh, Shredder of Lustria. And the Thunderous one. Alright, well, we certainly got the levels that we need. I want to double check whether you... Yeah, since you're the one that's mostly recruiting right now, it's not going to be always, but for now you can have the Administrator. Asha, what did we do to get this? 120 or more battles. Huh. So are you telling me we'll keep getting these now, or... Is it every 20 battles? I guess we'll find out. Go figure. Would be nice to have more. You don't need to upgrade this, technically speaking. We're not yet building Saurus and Temple Guard. We will eventually, but there isn't a need for them right now. Anyway, I think with that, we can end the turn and then get the enemies attacking us. Nakai, you have 2 points. Let's get you Miasma of Despair at least. And I guess Impassioned, but we'll probably wait on the other points just because you're not encountering anything too scary. Ooh, we got the Skaven up here. I'm pretty sure this is Rictus, and we do want his defeat trait just as much as Queek's. The Skaven do have good defeat traits. Alright. Do you need to build siege equipment here? You know what? Build it just in case. I'm 100% sure they'll sally. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I'm 49% sure they'll sally out. Like so. They should at least. They should be underestimating our little skink host here. And, okay, so you have Master Scout. Let's get you energetic, I guess, for the skink damage as well. We don't need any rights, at least not right now. Blocks alignment's natural decline doesn't really help us here. We need to save up the old one's favor. If these guys attack, we'll actually get more alignment, so we could use some of the old one's favor on getting another blessed unit. We did want those blessed fire leech bolas after all. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Let's go here, and we'll do, where's the blessed fire leech bolas? We did want to get 2 of them up and running, and it is, once again, that's part of the functionality of our factions, so I think we do want to make use of it. Blessed fire leech bolas. And especially since we're starting with the skinks and the fire leech bows, they're not expensive units, and thus we should... Oh, we actually have to get you on the field in order to use the alignments, in order to get the alignments back. Alright, fair enough. Since they're not expensive units, we don't have to worry... Oh man, we're gonna have to delete you, aren't we? That is what it is. Well, it's easier to just recruit them since they take 1 turn. Oh wow, 2,000. Okay, you're a little bit more expensive to recruit, but anyway... Oh, I don't like that they're not beside those, but anyway. Unit upgrades, I wanted to see these, it's another reason why I wanted to get these guys. But yeah, they're also cheap compared to the other units. Scrap upgrades. Alright, so you also do have the Blessed Spawning of Huan Chi, which is pretty interesting. Which is stock. You have Blessed Spawning of Quetzal, damage resistance and regen, and you do have the Blessed Spawning of Sotek for that lethal poison as well, which is speed and damage. I think since we already had the Blessed Spawning of Huan Chi rather on the Blessed Skink Skirmishers, which apply bleed, we'll do the Blessed Spawning of Sotek on these guys. Although, once again, we are going to put them in some other armies as well, wherein we can have different types of blessings. For example, where we don't have Skink Skirmishers, we'll do the Blessed Spawnings of Huan Chi. Yeah. And I don't dislike the increased acceleration as well. The charge speed is relevant here, but yeah, just to apply that to more enemies. Plus, this way we'll have poison, bleed, and a lethal poison in one army. If only we could get a... We could try to keep an eye on one of the skink chiefs or skink priests that have a toxic venom available to them. I think that was the assassin trait. But yeah, do that. Alright, lovely. And our alignments are down, and they'll go up again as soon as we end the turn, because the Nerglites will attack and presumably lose. End turn. Alright, there we go. That was quick. I guess they're very... They're very, one of the very first factions to move. Well, good luck to you. Actually, good luck to us, because once again, that's a lot of Beasts of Nurgle, and they are not to be underestimated in SFO with 4 units. Or rather, the 1, they are generally speaking quite nasty. Lots of regen available to them between Cloud of Flies and regular regen as well, doubling up on that. Additional missile resistance, bringing them up to 30% missile and 26% physical. And we lack magic damage on this army as well, so yeah, go. Alrighty, I'm pretty sure our red-crested skink chief said something at least, unlike the Karagril Ancient seemed unwilling to do so. Anyway, we're gonna start the battle off Vanguard deployed and non-Vanguard deployed, just generally deployed, sort of on the right flank of the enemy army. The idea here is that we have a nice sort of impassable bit of terrain over on the side, and it's not that we want to use it to protect our flanks so much as we want the enemy to be forced to go around it. Should be able to get a nice nice position and hopefully destroy about maybe a third of the enemy army before the rest of the enemy units fully move on in. Enemy Chaos Chariots of Nurgle are charging towards our Chameleon Skinks and our Skink Skirmishers. Hardly surprising, and they will send a fair few of them flying. Our Lord is trying to chase them down, but the chariots refuse to be engaged. We're going to try to move our Skink Chief in as well, together with our Lord, and just gotta trap these frickin' chariots, otherwise they're going to keep annoying us. We also do have other units of Rotflies moving on in. Death's Heads firing away at the Chameleon Stalkers. And by the looks of it, the Skink Skirmishers in this particular battle and the Chameleon Skinks are going to have a little bit of a bad time, and we will need to countercharge them. Here comes the Lord with his one of his pet Arcs of Sotek moving in, and hopefully that'll distract the Rotflies long enough for the Skink Skirmishers to get away. Not to forget the main sort of bit of action, however, as the main enemy army engaged. I like that the sort of tiny nature of these skinks makes a lot of other units very, very visible for like the entire battlefield. It's much more easy to see even smaller, bigger units, if that makes any sense, like the Plague Toads, because even the Plague Toads tower over the skinks. Alright, and hopefully, speaking of the Plague Toads, we'll clear them out decently well with our stag-riding Skink Chief. Of course, the big issue is all of those darn beasts of Nurgle that we have all over the place. And we are doing our best to focus them down with all of our range units. We used our protection of Quetzal on one of our units of the Red Crest, and this is the unit of Red Crest that is here where that impassable terrain is, and is thus holding off the biggest portion of the enemy army. We've also summoned a unit of Razordons, not behind the enemy army, which would have been better, but rather to protect our Javelineers, our Skink cohorts with Javelins, from the Rotflies. Though, in fact, I do imagine that they would have been able to fight them off to some degree, as with 66 melee defense, even the Javelineers are pretty darn solid. Alright, otherwise, yeah, it's Beast of Nurgle o'clock, as in there are just so many of them. I think we've killed off one or two, as in models rather than units, and it's going to be a while before we break all of these down. And they'll deal plenty of splash damage as they do, so hopefully our dinos will pick up the slack a little bit. And of course our range units as well, but they need to be safe from the chariots and the flyers and such first. One of them is plinking away at the enemy beasts of Nurgle, and the other ones have now repositioned themselves, getting ready to fire into their backs. And speaking of firing into their backs, the first Razordon summon may have been used to protect the skinks. I mean, they're all skinks in this army, but anyway, may have been used to protect the ranged skinks, and the second one will be used to fire into the enemy backs. Gonna start with the Death's Heads, don't want them touching down, and it's probably still going to take a while to bring them down, but that's alright. We're holding just fine so far, and the balance of power has shifted to about 85 maybe percent in our favor. Our Lord is now dueling in one of the enemy Plague Ridden, which had originally charged our Skink Chief over in the back here. Or actually our Skink Priest, and we had to back the Skink Priest off. I'm sure that Tyrannicon should have no issue killing off a single Plague Ridden. It'll take a little bit of a while, I imagine, with all that physical resistance, but we do outstats them. And by a fair bit. Alright, and the balance of power continues to move in our favor. The enemy's right flank, as planned, has completely collapsed now, and all those other units that were previously fighting on the right flank are now moving in to reinforce the main line. The Beasts of Nurgle are dropping in droves, and soon they will be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of skinks and blow darts. Alright, this is definitely a death by 1,000 cuts sort of army. Although we do hit a lot harder in melee than the other Skink army, of course. And there we go. With that, the last of the enemy units melts away, and Tyrannicon takes another victory. Been growing very fond of the little guy. All right, very nice. That did give us the alignments we wanted and the money we wanted and the victory we wanted. Well done to the skinks once again. One of the basties with Ark of Sotek did get hurt, and well, it would be nice to have a Reviv Crystal in this army. I don't think we have space for it, and I don't want to rely on Reviv Crystals in every single army. Besides, it wouldn't be as useful to the skinks as, well, I suppose the cohort of Sotek who can activate their Cannot Die ability, but I'll think about it. Once again, there's not a lot of room and there's not a lot of space here, so yeah, close victory, but close the screen. And do we want to just move to max out Eitzel before we go to further Sri Lanka? Honestly, the last node's upgrades aren't really all that much, so I think Sri Lanka might actually be better, so we'll go for Sri Lanka. Alright, good. We would have been nice if we could have selected our construction after this, but oh well. You are going to head towards Wyvern Cliffs and King Intev here, at least for the current time. I wonder if they're going to try to retake Rusty Dagger's hold, but let's just hope that they're not going to be capable of doing so. And camp, and then the important stuff, upkeep production. Sanctuary of the Old Ones. Do we want to build this one right now? It is a nice casualty replenishment trade, although I guess we don't need it for this particular turn. Ancient Steg for Tyrannicon. That's a question. Do we want to keep you... Well, in this army, not on the Horned one, I think. A Ripperdactyl might be a decent option as well, though I don't particularly like the mount. And you have the Ancient Steg as the red-crested King Chief, say, not the Engine of the Gods. I will think about it, as in we will adjust as needed over time. I know I say that a lot, but the armies do, I do like the way that they evolve over time, so it's fine. I mean, I guess since the Moonhowlers are on the way, we should still probably knock at least a few of them out. Grozdrung has a lot of good stuff in there, and wait, does this say, oh, we could, oh no, we can't, we have this greatly increases thing here. I wonder if they'd be willing to sally out, or we could just ignore them and go through Skull Chasm. How many territories do these guys have, I wonder? 7, but I don't want to go too deep into the Darklands with Nakai's own army. Oh, this is all the way here, and it is a capital, and it is worth +3. Power up Sri Lanka a little bit. If only we could see what's going on here, as in how close Tretch is. We should also probably use some of our old ones' favors soon to get a Tech Thief or 2 up and running. Just need additional capacity. 5 more turns until the next army. Cytochrome, you can take Und Uzgar for now, and I think we'll wait until we spend any more old ones' favor for a bit. Alright, let's... Close victory, yeah, but yeah, you're fine. You're fine, and then Sri Lanka as well, I guess. Oh, like so. Itchy grubs, itchy. 20% cooldown to spells. Is that useful to us? I mean, you usually don't have enough mana to cast multiples of those anyway, so it's, I don't know, iffy. Do you want to build your tier 3? Start getting your reductions up and running as well? Once again, it's 9k, but maybe do it. Maybe do it. And then a U. Alright, so I was going to say go to karagril, and I think that hasn't changed. Just have to be careful with this army. Yeah, maybe we should get the... well, maybe next turn. I was about to say maybe we should get the other Fire Leech Bowler Regiment of Renown, and we maybe should upgrade the Holy Ziggurat as well, even if it isn't an incredibly expensive army, because once we have a decent bit of money, then we can recruit our next army. We want to prepare, because in 5 turns we increase our army capacity. That's when the Slan comes a calling in the Fire Army with Salamanders, Ancient Salamanders, and all that good stuff. Fine, you know what? You're currently fighting the House of Berserk. While the House of Berserk should be grateful to Nakai. Until he shows up over there and wipes them out, too. Declare war. They're on the way, we might as well. It's a capital. Do we want to give them a chance to sally out? We'll give them a chance to sally out. I don't think they will. In fact, I really doubt they will, and frankly, it's probably not worth fighting as a siege, but I'll give them a chance to fight as a field battle. I just don't think it'll be a particularly interesting siege with just, you know, Kroxagors break through the main gate, kill everybody inside, no different than any of the other sieges. If there was a stack in there, that would be a different story, but there isn't. Anyway, I guess that's another end turn as we proceed towards the Tomb Kings. Is this their last territory? I wonder if Katep will come back next turn. We shall see. Also, just out of curiosity, how do these guys feel about us? Not amazing. And Golden Order... Don't like the strategic threat. The elves do like us quite a bit more, however. And the dwarves are pretty okay with us. Somebody suggested the Dwarfen Alliance might be one that is decent because we have access to additional fire units. That would work nicely with our fire army that's upcoming. And that's true. I don't disagree with that. Especially since we could then power up the Dwarfen units with Kindle Flame from the Slan, and we don't normally have access to that for Dwarfen units, so there is that. And Karagril, in fact, let's just take a quick look at diplomacy. I haven't looked at it in a million turns, but nobody wants to ally with us right now. Everybody wants peace. The ones that are fighting want peace, but no alliances. Karagril, yeah, they're doing okay. They got 9 settlements, 28 strength rank. They're fighting nobody that should be a major threat, and they're allied with the Golden Order, who we could potentially be allied with as well, though they don't want to right now. Honestly, though, if all of these Order factions keep not wanting to ally with us, decent likelihood that we just turn on them and wipe them out. They should serve the Great Plan, because if they don't, then, well, what's their purpose? Alright, looks like they decided not to sell yet, but admittedly that doesn't really surprise me, so it's all good. Use Cytochrome, use Tunneling Stance to get across this little mountain territory and go here. Like so. Oh, it does mean you won't be able to build your upkeep production this turn, but it's alright, we'll do it next turn. Yeah, you can, I guess, just auto-resolve this, although they do have some armies moving in. And I guess we could go through their territory because our ball is down here and then look back towards the Skaven here. Still very tempted by the other Skaven, but anyway, yeah, just auto-resolve this. This isn't worth our time. And we will give this to Sri Lanka again, getting the next node. And what does the next node do? Is that the spell resistance one? Oh no, that unlocks the Storm of Sri Lanka ability. Another Plaque of Dominion, which is another research rate increase, and I think you already have one unless I'm mistaken. Wait. Yeah, you have the Plaque of Dominion. Let's give it to another Skink Chief. It's probably going to have to be swapped out, but, you know, for now. 20% spell reduction. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this. I'd prefer Forbidden Rod or something like this. Combine it with a Scroll of Blast. Oh, although that is fire damage. Anybody in the fire army could use that. Okay, fine. Just keep it for now. We'll use it later. All right, Nakai, you're a little bit damaged, but honestly, that's perfectly fine. Let's see how much you heal in enemy territory as compared to friendly territory. A lot less. Alright, fine. Go here. I guess auto-resolving this does mean we waste half a turn of movement, but he moves so far that it doesn't really matter, and it's not like these guys are a threat until they become a threat, as in until they actually get an army running around. Tyrannicon, you... Huh. Does that mean, or did his army not actually get cheaper when we get the Sanctuary of the Old Ones? I thought it was 2700-ish. Oh, but his own cost increased due to the advent of his new mount. Fair enough. Do we have defenses here? We do not, so it'll be a nice big field battle. All right. Oh, let's wipe poor Kotep out. I feel a little bit bad about it, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, wow, that's a lot of chariots again. Ooh, we should make use of the alignments, however, and... yeah, all right, fine. Just double-checking what we have here. I guess we'll want to get that last... Okay, wait. Let's do this appropriately. First of all, we will ask Queeg. Oh, we can't ask Queeg. We're just going to declare war on Skarsnik. He's nearby. Why not? He's on the way. All right, then you will take Karagril. We will have to fight this because it's decently well defended. And wait, adds defenses? Huh. Minor settlement. Wait, do all Orky territories have that now? Oh, no. That can't be it, can it? No. Huh. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's just because it's a capital? Greenskin Burrows? I have no idea. Well, we'll find out when we play Greenskins again. Yeah, I just want to get rid of the other Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bola, so that we max this army out, because once again, I don't want to be wasting the alignments. And then pop in the Fire Leech Bolas, like so. I wish I didn't take 150 old ones favor, but it is what it is. I'm fine with it. And there you are. And obviously the same blessing, which is the Blessing of Sotek. Like so. Which also is appropriate because this guy has Blessed by Sotek. Alright. Alright, you're rank 12 now. Oh, perfect. Warrior's Crest. Into Dexterous Warrior for the missile resistance and speed for all those units. And then... huh. Pterodon Rider, upkeep production by 20%, but I still think we should probably get the missile strength and defense for our skinks. It is still half a skink army after, or half a ground skink armies that Pterodon Riders also have skink riders and all that. Anyway, you have replenished troops, that's, oh right, we're saving your points. You're fine, and you... Max out Flock of Doom for this, there's a lot of gobos to deal with. Max out Flock of Doom, I like it. Alright, we are going to fight this. We could auto-resolve it. Wait. It's not gonna be a crazy interesting fight. The only thing is... Well, actually, they do actually have a lot of range units. Maybe it is worth a fight. Nah, you know what? No, let's fight it. Let's fight it. And can't be auto-resolving all of them anyway. Alrighty, here we go. It's a minor settlement battle, and that does mean this is, well, this is going to be the aerial units show, and probably generally speaking, the aerial units show in this particular army whenever we face off against minor settlement battles. The sort of narrow walkways and ramps and all that stuff does not lend itself well to using the chameleon skinks and skink skirmishers, after all. Not to worry though, our fire elite Chibolas should be able to obliterate the night goblin archers pretty well. I'm dropping bolas with gusto and probably taking, what, maybe 20% of the HP off of the enemy unit per volley. Of course, if the enemy was not a goblin faction, but rather a faction of orcs, we'd have a lot more of a tough time dealing with the orc error boys. I'm gonna try out the Storm of Sri Lanka, or whatever it was called, just to see how it works. Looks pretty neat. I can't quite tell what the heck it is that's moving around. Maybe prisms or something? Gonna have to check it out again next time. But anyway, I just wanted to see how much damage it dealt and see whether it could wipe out a unit of goblin rock lobbers. Doesn't quite kill them, but that's alright. Not a huge deal. It does decent damage to them, and it also hurt a unit of night goblin archers, and we still have to take care of the rest. Ooh, starting to take arrow damage from various goblin archers. We're going to have to reposition our other flyers to deal with them. Unfortunately, our pterodon riders with javelins have thus far been busy with destroying the enemy towers, so they weren't able to contribute. But they should move, but the rest should move in and deal with it shortly. Alright, including the blessed ones, and now that they have the lethal toxin, it also reduces the enemy's damage capabilities. It does seem that, well, as a debuff it is obviously inferior to regular poison, but then as a, it does have an additional damaging component to it. 2 damage per second, 5 entities, etc. So there is that. Anyway, keep firing away and obliterating that unit of Night Gobbo archers, which is pretty much done for. A few enemy units still running around, including the enemy lord, but that's something for the javelineers to deal with. Gonna drop a few bombs in the middle of the enemy blob, and just for a few seconds go near to touching down and attacking some of the enemies there. Otherwise, it looks like the battle is pretty much ours. Enemy did charge in a unit of squigs to block off all of our skink skirmishers. Go figure. But that's pretty much expected, and we weren't really expecting them to win this particular battle anyway. Ooh, love that sort of blow dart machine gun that these guys got on the stags. Always fun to watch. And it looks like just a couple more hits. There we go, blow dart machine gun. Couple more hits, a couple more enemy units defeated, and the battle will be ours. Trying to charge our lord towards the enemy lord at this point, though I fear that that's not even going to be necessary. Javelineers doing massive amounts of damage to the orc shaman in combination with the summoned Razordons. And the shaman will go down. You getting back up from that? Okay, he's getting back up from that, but not for long. 79 HP, 1 more hit. And oh, how did you miss that? Not that it matters, and so the Razordons gets a nice meal by taking out the head of the shaman, and with the death of the shaman, the entire enemy army breaks, and the battle is ours. Hardly surprising. I think in the future these minor battles will probably just, you know, fight manually, because, yeah. But I did want to see the Fire Leech Bolas with the elite version now, the blessed version, as well. Oh, we do get alignments for these. I guess I didn't properly check the last time. But anyway, that's all fine. Enemy is destroyed and our Fire Leech Bolas absolutely cleaned house as expected. With let's see. Oh, unnamed unit for now. 423 kills and 35k damage. Very solid. Once they took out the enemy archers, the enemy army just had no chance whatsoever. This is the enemy's capital, even if it is a minor settlement. We'll keep going through Sri Lanka, I guess. I want that cooldown reduction, or Winds of Magic Cause reduction, for all of our magics. And frankly, the final point of Sri Lanka gives us magic item drop chance faction-wide, which is gonna be better than the 10% vigor. And for Sri Lanka. More items and all that, always a nice thing to see. Alright, karagril isn't how ours. Sorry, Skarsnik, just randomly losing your main settlement like that. I guess we're going to Karagaloon next, and, well, we'll probably be able to get them to sally out and attack us, because they've got Black Orcs and other good stuff in there. Let's also upgrade the Sanctuary to the old ones. Max out that upkeep reduction. And of course there's other stuff we'll want to get in here, including the casualty replenishment rate, but right now I think we just want to prioritize those for when we get the Slan in 3 turns. Alright, and okay, I gotta remember to build it with you as well. All 3 of our armies now have them, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, or will have them once you've built yours, and okay, that also reminds me, not that I've forgotten, we need to attack with you. Alright. Do we level up? Now let's level up before we fight. First of all, you, I guess, can get energetic. Keep buffing up all those various skinks. You, Skink Chief, I guess, energetic as well. Everybody's so energetic today. And, Skink Priest of Beasts. Arcane Conduit. Alright, that was an easy pick. Lovely. Wyvern Cliffs, Heroic Victory. We can get the Standard of Discipline. What does this do again? Oh, just bonus leadership. I put it on the Lord. Frankly, it doesn't really matter who has this, but, yeah. Oh, okay, that's Sandville. Okay, I thought for a second that they'd had a bound sandstorm ability, but Tomb Swarm is still not to be underestimated. Anyway, go. Alrighty, here we go. The final battle, presumably, of the Exiles of Nehek, and they've got a pretty darn solid position. Lots of skeleton warriors blocking off the 2 choke points, and tons of chariots to potentially charge in, plus 1, 2, 3, 4 units of frickin' Screaming Skull catapults, and ranged chariots, and a bunch of skeleton archers as well. That is going to be definitely something of an issue for our skinks. Now, admittedly, what we could do here is we could summon Razordons directly on top of them. We could pop the Storm of Sri Lanka and probably wipe out a decent portion of this, but I decided when doing this as a final battle for the Exiles of Nehek, we're not going to do that. We're going to allow those Screaming Skull catapults to fire and give the enemy a chance to win rather than wiping them out. Once again, as we often do, we got to give them a sporting chance to some degree. Not every battle, mind you, but, you know, some battles. Especially since we probably won't be fighting Tomb Kings again, as once again, since it was all nearly 50-50 in terms of the poll to wipe these guys out or ally with them, most likely to get access to Ushapti with Great Bow and Bone Giants, we will look to ally with either Cetra or, better yet, High Queen Khalida, because she's a little bit further away. And probably in a safer position as well. Anyway, our units are charging in. Of course, they are starting to take quite a bit of damage from the enemy range fire, whether it be the Screaming Skull catapults or anything else. But we're just going to have to deal with it. And see how well we do without wiping the enemy out in that manner. Anyway, these skeleton warriors are holding their skink tied up. That's hardly surprising. We will, however, use our own magical artillery as well as the Storm of Sri Lanka. Oh, they're little whirlpools, not glyphs or tornadoes, maybe? I don't know. Not glyphs or... Oh, no, it bounced back and went right through our own line. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I thought that it wouldn't be as long as it was, as in... I didn't think it would go all that way and then still have enough range to bounce back, but that's alright. While we may have done a little bit more damage to ourselves than the enemy did, we also did plenty of damage to the enemy. Though, the Screaming Skull catapults are starting to tell, and the skin cohorts with javelins and the blow darts are starting to take quite a bit of damage. I do notice another benefit of using the skinks over the Saurus and the Kroxigors is that our blow dart wielding skinks are still able to fire over the heads of a lot of our units, which is pretty nice. Short stature of the skinks is helping out quite a bit in that regard. It's similar to the way that dwarf thunderers can often fire over the heads of the dwarf warriors. What with the shortness and all. You heard me. Anyway, ooh, nice Screaming Skull hit to the red-crested skink chief, and Screaming Skull's catapults are not to be, that was a Nurgle-like thing, are not to be underestimated in terms of actually dishing out damage to single entities. They can do quite a bit if you let them. I've definitely seen them obliterate a big ol' monster or a lord before, so there is that. Anyway, the skink cohort of javelins and the what skinks here are down to about half of their HP or lower. But we have finally broken through the line over on the left flank and are starting to move in. Unfortunately for us, the million chariots, this is like Cetra's army or something, that the enemy has, are actually using their mass to block off all of our units and prevent them from moving towards those Screaming Skull catapults, and that's allowing the catapults to continue firing, which is pretty neat. And the chariots are super fragile, and the enemy isn't able to use them in terms of actually charging us repeatedly, which is what they should be using them for. Well, allowing those high damage dealing Screaming Skull catapults to continue firing is pretty good. Look at all the damage they're dealing. Good job. Anyway, looks like the enemy, I believe, Tomb Prince has been nearly defeated by Tyrannicon here, and the enemy Lord was also surrounded over on the other flank and defeated as well. And it looks like the battle will soon be ours. The bounce power has shifted to about 80%, maybe 75% in our favor. Still a fair few of those chariots are running around after all. And finally, now that we've moved in, we're ready to summon a unit of Razor Dawn among the enemy. Held off through the entire battle through a 4-minute brawl through that choke point to do so, and as soon as those Razor Dawns are summoned, it looks like the critical mass is in our favor. The enemy army begins to shatter. They've no lords or heroes remaining, and their chariots can no longer hold off the tide of skinks and prevent them from destroying their catapults. Alright, just a few last chariots to bring down. And there we go. With that, the battle is ours, and the exiles of Nehek have, well, bitten the dust. Heroic victory at that. Nice. Alright, there we go. A nice, presumably final fight for the Exiles of Nehek, and we took fairly significant damage on several of our units. Granted, we allowed it to happen by not obliterating the enemy artillery beforehand, but, it should allow the enemy to take advantage of some of the choke point battles on occasion. 16k damage on one of those Screaming Skulls. Good for them. Nice final fight for him. Gift for Sri Lanka. Lovely, and another Divining Rod. I guess we got 2 of these. Alright. Ancient Stag for this guy, Pterodon for this guy, Faction destroyed. Alright. And we'll heal more or less to full anyway, and I guess we'll jump towards Misty Mountain, which apparently is not full of rats in Old World, and start working on the pox makers there. How much? Ooh, expensive. 6.5k. Alright. Not gonna do that then. At least not right now. Otherwise, I guess we're ready to end the turn unless I'm mistaken. I can still heal here. Everybody else is fine. Let's skip and end turn. Alrighty, there we go. Starting to make a decent bit of cash now, and if we can auto-resolve with the U, we'll be able to make even more. You can head to Skull Chasm for that particular purpose. Ooh, an actual fight for Nakai. We got Black Orcs, and we got, let's see what we got. Yeah, a decent bit of defenders at this place as well. This fight, however, feels like it's not worth it. Maybe I'll fight this one between the episodes to keep these guys relatively in decent shape. Well, there's probably no need. You know, just auto-resolve it, screw it. Just auto-resolve it. Bit of damage, but not too horrible. Don't particularly care for the standard discipline, but that's fine. Keep going for Sri Lanka, since Sri Lanka's been good to us. And Pterodon for you. Yeah, it's fine. Wait. Yeah, it's fine for now. I mean, it's better than no mount, right? And stop. Whatever it is you're doing, stop that. Alright. And camp and... Huh. Wait, did this army always have 19 units? Maybe it did. I'm just gonna assume that it did and that I didn't forget a unit. Anyway, folks, I think with that, I'm going to call this episode here. There are, what, there were like 7 battles in this particular, wait, okay, I almost just forgot this. Again. Sanctuary to the old ones, upkeep reduction. And how's your money looking? Alright, we got Draft Master, but soon we'll go into Geomantic Sustenance to make the army cheaper, which is perfect. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm gonna call the episode here. We got like 7 battles under our belts in this particular episode. We got a very tough fight by the looks of it at Karagril for Shulamar. And Shulamar, you are going to definitely struggle against some of those units, but well, we'll just have to do our best. We do have the Blessed units now, so the army is a lot stronger than it once was. Otherwise, we will head southward with Nakai next turn, or next episode, and start with this nice battle with all the Black Orcs and stuff for him, and then head down here to Khorne and to fight Arbol, and then loop back through Queek's territory down like this, and hopefully meet up with our own territory, or with these territories, or if our other armies are doing fine here, depending on how long Kugath manages to hold out, maybe we'll even turn and kill off a few of the Darklands Chaos Dwarfs and loop back around towards the Skaven and Trudge Craventail up here. I'll think about it. I did want to fight the Vampire Counts, which seem to have a lot of territory down here, which would be pretty fun. Definitely want to send at least 2 armies down, and the Fire Army would actually be a good thing to do with that in that regard. And yeah, we'll get the Fire Army up and running. Well, at the very least, we'll recruit the Slan next episode, because we got 2 turns until army capacity is ready. And then, depending on how that goes, we will start recruiting the Fire Army, because we got decent income now. And we have a rough idea of what units we want to put in there. Wait, are we able to build salamanders yet? Or do we need to build a building for them? We might want to destroy the ruined spawning chamber for that. What? Whoa. 4 out of 7. Oh, whoa. These things give army capacity +1. I didn't even realize we upgraded all 3 of them this episode. And oh, we got armies coming now. All right, fair enough. We don't even have to wait for this. We'll attack this. We'll get the Slan up and running, and probably also keep an eye on the Saurus Old Blood. Or Old Bloods. Sky Marshal might be good. Or the... Huh. I see no red-crested skinks in here. That's weird. Maybe they're just not there. But anyway, we'll definitely want several Saurus armies. We'll definitely want the skink probably to lead the cavalry army, which we will still want to do, but that'll mean moving Cytochrome towards these guys. But that's fine. All right, more armies on field soon, and thus spreading out in more directions. Stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold for the longer episodes. All glory to the old ones and the algorithm. And thanks for watching.